Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
That makes me Kelly. Hey guys, I've been writing again.
Yay! That's exciting.
Yeah, and what this means is I've been going down to a bar, setting up my writing station, getting some food, all that stuff. But I've been doing it regularly enough now that I have this route that I go, and I noticed, Vanessa, this guy in this like second story apartment, he always has his shades open, and he has all of these Star Trek ships in the window, models.
Oh my God.
And they look gigantic, right? They look super cool. So I've been like slowing down to check them out and everything. And then as I'm coming back, it's nighttime and it's kind of off the beaten path. So I don't have a lot of people behind me. And this last time I had nobody behind me. So I was like, I'm going to stop and just, on the street and kind of look at his window. So I'm looking at it and it's clearly like he's got at least the 60s Enterprise and then the next generation Enterprise.
Sure.
And I can see other ships in the background. But then on the next window over, I could see something else going on there and a dog looking out the window at me. And I was like, oh, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. And then he moved his head and I realized, oh, that's not a dog. That is a person with a bald head and his eye looked like a nose for a minute or something to me. And he then moves his head and starts looking out the window at this clearly insane person going, hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. And I was like, oh, shit. So I quickly put the car back into gear. And now I'm afraid to go on that route to get to my car again because I like, he had to have called 911 after that, right?
I'm sure he wrote down your license, if
At
nothing
least.
else.
Yeah, it was.
My God.
You could get a giant temporary Star Trek emblem, put it on like one of your sides of one of your windows.
That might be the
drive by and
only solution. Only solution.
I should have.
Okay.
I should have just waved my hands. No, I'm one of you. Don't worry about it. This seems weird, but
I really like Star Trek. I promise. And you, apparently.
Right. Humiliating.
Oh my God.
Well done.
I clearly was not looking at the right contact at him. I was using my reading contact. Boy. A lot of cool new stuff on TV, guys. Did you guys know that the second season of Raised by Wolves has started?
I totally forgot. Oh my gosh.
But I haven't watched. But,
Wow.
I watched the first 2 episodes and I realized how I felt about it the first season. I was like, wow, this is really cool looking. I can't tell at all what's going on.
Yes. I can see that.
This show is so fucking weird,
Uh-huh.
but it looks great. Had some really cool gore in it because remember, Mother is a killing machine, basically.
Right.
And I just got wrapped up in it. But at the end of the first episode and at the end of the second episode, I was like, what is going on in this show? Yeah.
I mean, I still have catching up to do from the first season. I can't remember why I stopped. I remember being really excited by it, but
Oh, well, maybe you stopped because it got like super weird.
It did
and then
get
the
kinda
final
weird.
episode gets insanely weird.
huh.
And then the new episode just starts off and it's like, oh, okay, I guess all that really happened.
Huh.
All right.
Is Ridley Scott still directing, writing?
Executive producing,
Oh, okay.
which means he got paid a check to have his name on it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
started it and they owe him.
It does feel like a Ridley Scott thing.
Yeah. It feels like Alien Covenant or, it's
Sure.
got that like scale and emptiness and, androids.
Yeah.
I've been doing some homework and
Uh-oh.
a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of trying to come to terms with
Are
something
you
that
quitting the podcast?
Oh my God. No.
Are you breaking up with us?
No. No, no. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I had gone on a really, really big rant about one Joss Whedon.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
And I've been trying to figure out feelings. There's this constant issue of artists who reveal themselves to be total monsters, but their art is still interesting. And I've been seeing like weird posts from people that I know online about how actually, if you get rid of Joss and you rewrite, Firefly in this one way, and you get rid of this one character, Mal, if you get rid of Mal, and all of a sudden everything about that show just works beautifully. And I'm thinking, yeah, but then there'd be no drama. So I don't know about that, guys. And there was a sort of backlash to his work, and I had been really wondering whether or not I actually appreciated his work because I hate Justice League so very much.
I almost feel like I need to talk to whoever said that. It's like, did you watch in the order it was released or the order the shows were actually made?
Yeah.
Because if you put it in the order the shows are actually made, it makes perfectly fine sense. I don't know.
They were just like, oh, well, if I can't remember all the characters' names now, but if the assistant captain lady was actually the captain, then this person would get respect and this other person would be put in their place. And and I was like, yeah, that's fine, but that's not story.
Yeah.
That's just a world that you like better. So I went ahead and rewatched both Avengers movies.
Oh.
Which I have not seen in a long
Both
time.
There's a lot of Avengers.
I'm sorry, the first two Avengers.
Okay,
The
just
ones
making
that
sure
he
that.
directed.
Yeah, the ones with Joss Whedon's name on
I
them.
forgot he did those.
Yeah. So I was just like, I'm just gonna watch these, and they're really well written. They're actually really. He's a good writer, and it was kind of one of those things where I had to, tell myself he might be a monster, but it's okay if he has some kind of talent. That's all right. It's fine. It's
Yeah, you know what? That's interesting that we haven't heard much from the Avengers actors on what.
I was thinking the same thing. I wonder if there's a contract thing or what. They do. It's in the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron, where we get a faceplant into boobs moment. The first one actually veered pretty nicely away from that, and it felt pretty empowering towards the female characters in general. I felt like there was some good writing in there, but the second one, it gets a little loosey-goosey there. But still, overall, I don't know. I would be very curious.
I think there's something that happens in super high budget movies
Mm-hmm.
where the director gets a lot more credit than they deserve.
Sure.
Because the people that are around you at that point are the best in the business.
Yeah.
You are not working with a DP you need to worry about knowing what lens to pick, or you're not working with artistic talent. You are working with the best.
There's really something that you've hit there that I think is very important. The actual directing of both of those movies was literally nothing special.
Yeah.
It was just directed like TV. Like, I mean, aside from the action sequences where somebody else probably, stepped up. It's clear it's just like medium wides, let the characters talk to each other, have them sitting around chatting. There was nothing interesting, no special interesting shots. It was very, very by the book. So it did make me think, okay, it's fine if he never directs again. Who gives a shit? It's fine. He doesn't have to deal with any other human beings, but his writing actually, it was good. He wrote both of those films and he did a good job.
Yeah, and I'll say it again, everybody's got a monster in them and everybody's got an angel in them. He could have been on very good behavior.
He could have been. He could.
Giant,
it was his
huge
first
budget film.
Yep, first big project like that.
So we're all capable of all that bullshit. Do you remember when we were down at Lovecraft Film Festival meeting our friends Aaron and Leah?
Yeah.
Leah listened to the last episode where we were talking about Joss Whedon, and then she sent me an amazing article that was written about, what do we do with people whose art we love and the people we hate.
Yeah.
It's a very long article, really well written. I will forward it to both of you because I found it fascinating.
I would definitely love to read that because I feel like it's been a very long and frustrating process. It's not Joss Whedon. It's been, ever since the Me Too began, there's been a lot of people that I've respected who are now, trash. So it'd be great to have some tools, some other perspectives to see how people are kind of looking at this.
I'm not even sure that the tools were in there, but it was it was interesting. This was written in 2017, and
Mhm.
most of it is written about Woody Allen.
Oh gosh.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I just thought it was a really, really well written article, and
Mhm.
I should have forwarded it to you guys right off the bat, but I
That's
forgot.
okay. Well, now you know. Now
Thanks,
you
Leah.
remember.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm excited to check that out.
Cool. I say I caught up and I enjoyed the first 2 episodes of the new season of The Mandalorian.
Wow. All right. That's good.
Have you
see what
seen
you
all of
did
the Book of
there.
Boba Fett yet?
No.
The last 2 episodes that came out he was not in one of them at all,
Right.
Wow.
and he was in the other one for a minute, maybe. And it's all Mandalorian story. And it's
Oh.
you look at IMDb, he's like, I'm gonna see what the IMDb rating is like 6, 6.2, 6, 9.2,
Oh my
9.3.
God. Okay. All right. Well, I stopped watching it because you guys were talking about how bad it was. So, but I had heard through the ether that maybe the last episode or 2 were pretty good. So,
They've been
Yeah.
certainly better. They've been
Yeah.
the best couple episodes.
mm.
An awful lot of fan service
Oh
in the
yeah.
last couple of episodes. Unless you are a fan of Boba Fett.
True. It almost feels like the writers, Rodriguez and what's his name? Jonathan,
Mhm.
the main writer.
Keep wanting to call him Happy.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. Oh God. Yep.
There you go. Yell at us. We'll get it.
Right.
Anyways, but got part of the way through going through the movie going, this Book of Boba Fett thing isn't really coming together like we wanted it to. It's not really working. I have a solution.
Yeah, I would like to know if maybe this was put together as a response to what was going on, and maybe we had different episodes.
Yeah, it could be.
I bet it has to be if they segued really far away from if they were on a track with a narrative and suddenly we're very much not on that track. It's got to be because people were like, "Why is this show total garbage?"
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you get Grogu back, and you get
Wow.
Mandalorian. I mean, they got
Holy smokes!
the new Luke Skywalker look.
Ooh.
For 40 minutes.
Yeah, he's in it a
Whoa. Are you
lot.
serious?
Yeah, I was thinking to myself that was less a Mandalorian episode and more the continuing adventures of Luke Skywalker.
That's true.
So I
yeah.
just have to put up with some biker kids, and then all of a sudden I'll be in good territory.
Yeah. Jon Favreau.
Yes.
Yeah. How many episodes have you watched? Just like the first 2 or something?
No, I've watched up until I did not watch the last, I guess, 3 or 4. I didn't watch the biker kids starting from that point. I saw up until then.
I think it's 3 episodes since that, because that's what I had. That's when I stopped too. The last one. Then we went yesterday. We watched all 3.
Well, now I know what I'm going to be up to tonight.
Oh, good.
I'm going to guess neither of you guys have jumped on the Pam and Tommy
No.
series
No,
on Hulu.
I have not. Hulu keeps telling me to watch it, but I was finishing up Why, so.
It is I don't know if I can say it's good. It's entertaining.
Okay.
There is literally nobody to root for in this show. Everyone is a fucking asshole, unless
Hmm.
maybe it's Pam, because she seems a little more innocent than everybody.
Which is a strange take on Pamela
Well,
Anderson at that time.
yeah, I think that she was taken advantage of a lot by everybody in
Yeah.
her life.
Yeah.
And whoever they've got playing her is so friggin' beautiful that she's prettier somehow than Pamela Anderson at the height of her game.
Yeah.
What's his name? Stan
I
is
don't know.
playing
Playing
Tommy
Tommy,
Lee.
I don't know.
The Winter Soldier is
Oh,
playing Tommy
really?
Lee.
Oh my God.
He looks just like him and acts just like him.
Wow.
And that means he is a massive prick.
Yes.
And then-
Hey, I see what you did there.
oh, by the way, you get to see the massive prick.
Oh no.
And it moves around and talks.
It's puppeted, I heard.
Yes.
Oh.
It talks.
I'm
I
not
hadn't
sure I
heard
need
that
to
one.
see this. This sounds
It's I would
Weird.
say that the only reason to watch it is if you're interested in car wrecks on the freeway and shit like that. If you
just
slow
need
down to look at
at
dead bodies, then you would probably be interested in this.
Oh my
It's also got 0 Motley songs in it because it's all
Oh.
set in 95. So what you're getting is the soundtrack in 95. That being said, I've liked a lot of the music I've
Sure.
heard on it. Seth Rogen is playing the guy who stole the tape.
Beautiful.
And he's fine in it. Almost unrecognizable since he's lost so much weight.
Hmm.
I don't know. I'll keep watching it, I guess.
So it's a full series.
I thought
Yeah.
it was just a film. I didn't realize.
No. I'm 5 episodes in now, I think.
Well, you got to have room for the talking penis.
Yeah. The talking penis is voiced by the guy from Big Mouth who
Oh, gosh.
fucks every piece of furniture and,
Yeah.
and pillow and everything. So
Not
Huh.
Gilbert Godfrey?
No.
Damn, that's a lost opportunity.
Oh, geez. Well, I watched something very different from that. I went home and visited my mom for a few days, and my mom and I have been working our way through Dark, which
Oh, wow.
initially, I mean, it's been years working on this thing.
Mhm.
And initially, season 1 was pretty good. Season 2 was interesting, starting to get really difficult to keep track of things. Season 3, it was like dental work. Like sitting there the whole time, I'm like, okay, I think that's that person who did that thing, but we're in this time place, but now we're in this universe. It is god freaking awful how complex that series gets. we were just like, let's just finish it. Well, let's just finish it because we cannot keep doing this with our lives anymore. And yeah, so we finished up that show, and I'm glad that I don't have to watch it anymore.
let's see. I stopped about 2 episodes into the 3rd season.
Gosh, you made the right choice. There's nothing more interesting. I mean, maybe the last episode is kind of good because you're like, oh, here's the resolution to everything that we've been watching. But even then,
I loved that first season
Yeah.
so much.
I know, and the characters are really interesting, and the dynamics, and I'm just so frustrated that they had to then add more timelines and then add an alternative universe. It's like, did you have to? You could have not.
Do you think it's one of those ones that it hit so hard and unexpectedly and was so popular? They're like, well, crap, we need to add some more seasons to
It's
this or
very
something. And just,
possible.
where the first one probably took the writer a long time to construct all
Right.
the strings and all the stuff that was going on. And the season 3 writer went, well, we just need confusion. And I need it fast.
Like literally just taking a little chart of people's faces and just moving them around randomly, going, okay, what if this person actually was married to this person, but then this person, his great 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 grandfather, was actually this other person? Oh my God.
I would love to get my hands on a series Bible.
Oh my gosh, that
Oh,
would be
geez.
really interesting.
Yeah, I'm curious how they.
I just
laid
want
that
a
all out.
chart. I need a really good chart because I'm really confused. I gave up. I was like, I can't anymore. My brain will not. I don't have the capacity for this level of understanding.
Well, mine's much more simple.
Oh,
Started watching a series that apparently has made it to the US now that I did not realize until I was watching the original. BBC Ghosts.
oh,
You heard it's on HBO Max?
Yeah, but it looks bad.
It's fun.
Is it? Okay.
It's silly. I've only watched a couple episodes, so it may, British comedy is weird and can take a few episodes to really become good.
yeah.
My fallback is always Red Dwarf, where people come and say, God, this show was so stupid. Did you watch the first episode? Well, no. Then you don't understand what's going on at all, do you? It's like, no, I don't. Watch the first episode. And then the whole series makes sense. But if you don't
Yeah.
see the first episode of Red Dwarf, they never again explain what's going on. So
Yeah.
it's lost.
I love it when Smugret makes a return to this podcast.
It's not me, it's the writing. We're talking years of experience for that one.
Yeah.
People coming in, hey, Red Dwarf, I've heard it's good. But it's fine. It's fun. It's weird. The idea is they're moving to a haunted house and the wife can see and hear all of the ghosts
Mhm.
and nobody else can.
Is this I think I might have seen this first episode. Is it kind of a comedy and she's getting along with the ghosts really well in episode 1?
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I take
That
it
may
back.
be the US version because it has been,
Yeah.
it was only like a
Interesting.
2017 series in Britain, but it's already been ported to the US.
Okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. How many episodes and how far into it are you?
Oh, like 3 maybe. If you want to wait a little while, I'll let you know if
Yeah.
it's really good.
Okay. Well, with that in mind, how about we take a little break and then we're coming back with Jungle Boogie.
Have you seen Mowgli? Shere Khan is always hoping to catch Mowgli when his friends Baloo and Bagheera aren't around. And now Kaa the Python has led them off into the jungle.
Now's the time to strike.
But clever Mowgli spots Shere Khan and scrambles up into a tree.
What?
Look who's back with a surprise gift from the monkey. Have another.
That still won't stop.
Have a good trip. Jungle Book figures, play sets, and vehicles each sold separately. Ask your parents' permission before you go online.
We have returned, and today's topic is Jungle Boogie, or jungle movies. I wanted this to be a genre film that was set in the jungle. I don't think I said it, but I hope that it was clear that Predator is right out.
Yes,
Damn
you
it.
did.
I have to go home. Hold on.
Give me 2 hours.
Okay, so with that in mind, I chose from 1996, Solo.
All right, buddy. It's time to pick a face.
Like Mike.
You got good taste.
We have $2 billion tied up in this program. Solo's the perfect soldier. No one will cry when Solo is gone. We'll simply build another one. He's proficient in all types of combat.
Polymer structure makes him virtually immune to small arms fire. He's equipped with motion sensors and night vision. He's about 15 times stronger, 10 times faster than any man. He's not just a weapon, he can make decisions.
You disobeyed a direct order and you blew this damn mission.
They were unarmed and non-aggressive, therefore the directive was overridden. Killing innocent people makes Solo feel bad.
He isn't supposed to feel anything. He's a weapon.
It's a glitch.
Take him back to Palmdale. Reprogram him there.
Someone is opening the heel hatch.
It's Solo.
I want him to disappear without a trace. There he is! 3 o'clock!
Let's smoke him.
Got him, sir. Time for recall.
We've got a serious situation on our hands.
Destroy all records. Deny any knowledge.
We're not even supposed to be here.
Terminate Solo.
I want this thing over with now.
We're the only two of our kind, Solo. Your design is flawed. I have a model for the next generation.
Oh,
I don't know anything about this.
I think I know.
Well, let me tell you all about it.
I mean, I
then,
know about
Vanessa.
Solo as in like, Han Solo.
I'll wait till I hear the title, but I think or the actors, but I think I know this one.
You do. It had a budget of $19 million, a box office of $5 million.
Oh, no.
Ooh.
Rotten Tomato critics give it 8%. And the audience gives it 27%. It's directed by Noberto Barba, who's done just tons of television, including episodes of the new Reacher series.
Oh.
And written by David L. Corsi, who wrote Executive Power and Angel's Dance, which are both straight-to-video movies. And it is based on the excellent book Weapon by Robert Mason,
Ooh.
starring Eric Mario Van
There
Peebles,
you go. That's the one I thought.
who was in Heartbreak Ridge, Jaws the Revenge, Full Eclipse. That one was for you, Craig. Also starring William Sadler, who is Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. He was in Demon Knight and Shawshank Redemption, and a very young Adrian Brody from King Kong, Chapelwaite, and The Pianist. Did I ever tell you guys about the guy who went into the bar with a tiny piano and pulled out a 12-inch pianist?
Go on.
You haven't, but many grade schoolers did.
So we are introduced right off the bat to Solo, who is an android designed as a military killing machine, basically a one-man army. It is Mario Van Peebles. We're also introduced to his creator, who is played by Adrian Brody, who is marveling at Solo's ability to learn and think on his own. He's like, man, I did a really good job with this killing machine.
Oh my gosh.
So Solo is dropped into Central America with a group of other soldiers, a Black Ops group. They're there to destroy this tiny airport that the insurgents have created and everything. But while he's climbing this cliff that no other soldier could do, and he's placing these explosives there and everything. But then he discovers that there are women and children there that are being used as slave labor. And up on his bullshit heads-up display, reading behind his eyes, he sees that he is not allowed to kill civilians.
Oh,
So this is already going against his programming, and he starts defusing the explosives he set. But the Black Ops guy there is William Sadler, and he's like, "What's going on there?" So they decide, well, we got to blow it while there are still some explosives that are activated. And so they blow it, and Solo is injured immediately.
Of course.
Grievously in the side, a very messianic kind of injury, which I thought was incredibly stupid. I'm like, are we going to just go right off the bat and say this is Jesus here? Or I don't know. We see a bunch of steel pistons and shit in his side that could never actually be there surrounding a humanoid robot body.
Sure.
And it's like, well, this looks really stupid now.
Oh,
Right off the bat, you guys, you're like, oh, I see what I've done here. I've made a terrible mistake.
What? I don't know what you mean.
So they decide they're just going to leave him there, and they take off in their helicopters back to the base. But he decides to jump up, and he catches the rung of one of the helicopters, the landing gear, and hangs on. And they take him all the way back to base, where he
nobody noticed.
Yeah, where he is then repaired by Adrian Brody. But he is also looking at spiders, and he's very interested in living things and all of this stuff. And they do a little flashback there where they show him being created, and he gets to pick his own face. And he sees a picture of Michael Jordan, and he says, "Like Mike."
Oh my God.
And Adrian Brody's like, "You got good taste."
Oh my God.
I wish they had like a picture of Mario Van Peebles from Heartbreak Ridge or something, or Jaws the Revenge. Then he could have said, "I want to look like that guy." And then it would have made sense that he looks exactly like that guy.
And not like Michael Jordan.
Does not look like Michael Jordan, although he is bald and black.
Sure.
So I guess in a racist way, he looks like Michael Jordan now.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Anyways.
He starts thinking about his programming and all that stuff, and he decides he's going to take a helicopter and escape. And he goes back towards the jungle, and he pretends that he crashes. Well, he does crash the helicopter in the side of the mountain and pretends that he is in it.
Oh, fakes his own mechanical death.
Yes, but the this is like a $3 billion android. So the military wants him back. They're like, let's see if we can find any trace of him. So they got all this satellite imagery searching for him and everything. Meanwhile, Solo's main power source was destroyed when his side was destroyed, and so he is now using a much weaker secondary power source. This is important, you guys. They tell us this right off the bat. He is much weaker than he normally would be. He ends up joining this tiny little village that is under constant threat from guerrilla attackers, and he bargains with them and says, "Hey, if you'll let me use your little gas generator to repower my batteries, I'll protect you guys." And they're like, "All right." So when the local warlords guys attack, he just takes them all out immediately. The village is saved. Everybody loves him. However, by doing this, he pings a satellite, and the military is on to him. And they're like, "Wait a second. He's still alive. We want him back for sure now." There's also this one scene while he's there with the villagers that he watches them playing cards, and he sees a guy bluff, and he rats him out to the other players, saying, "This man is lying." And they give him a cigar, and he learns to laugh.
Oh my God.
His lines are delivered like you delivered robot lines when you were 8 years old on the playground. "Stop. I am coming for you." He literally speaks like this in this movie.
Whoa.
So There's also, oh my goodness, there's also this one scene where one of the women from the village has fallen in love with him. It's not hard to believe he is a very attractive black man. He also has a big hole in his side with all these pistons hanging out, but she still seems surprised that he is not a real man. So, these villagers.
Hydraulic pumps.
At one point, she's very attracted to him, and she touches his and is talking about matters of the heart. And he says, "I have no heart. A heart is for living things." And she says, "But you're alive." And he says, "No, I exist."
Oh,
Deep, man. Deep.
So fucking deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now enter the Black Ops guy again, William Sadler, who's incredibly cruel. And you're wondering why he's so pissed off and everything. I got to tell you, he either knew he was in a really shitty movie or he thought he was going to be in a fantastic movie. But whatever way, he's playing this guy so ridiculously evil that you just can't help but love him, because he elevates this movie from trash to the 8% that it deserves. So he is sent down to retrieve Solo, and we learn that his absolutely ridiculous, unreasonable hatred for this thing is all because he sees Solo as a threat to the job security of Black Ops, which when you pull back and think about it, you're like, really? You would rather send soldiers down to do all of this horrible, dirty work and get killed and everything instead of a machine that could do it much more efficiently? That's how evil you are? It seems, I don't know. It's so stupid that, you guys, I had to open a second bottle of wine to finish this movie.
Needed to pause.
Yes, I was like, oh, for God's sakes. Like, what do I got here? I've got some Lab, so I'm drinking that. When Sadler gets down with his Black Ops guys, he turns to one of them and says, "Welcome to the jungle," said the spider to the fly.
Oh my God.
So,
No.
So you guys, you can say "Welcome to the jungle," especially if you're Guns N' Roses. And you can say "Welcome to my parlor," said the spider to the fly. But you cannot say "Welcome to the jungle," said the spider to the fly.
That's right.
That is so fucking stupid.
Well, apparently you can. and
I know that writer was just like, oh yeah, fuck yeah.
That's amazing.
A jungle spinning spider.
Yeah. So he has brought Adrian Brody down, and he's using Brody as bait to bring Solo in, because Solo loves his creator, and the creator loves Solo, and it's it's one of these things. And he nearly succeeds in catching Solo, but Solo escapes with Brody, who has been mortally wounded. But when he gets set down by Solo, he is delighted because Solo makes a joke. And he's like, "Oh, look at you, man. I can't wait to see what you're going to be like in another year." And then his eyes go glassy, and he's just like, This is Adrian Brody. This is Oscar-winning Adrian Brody in this. And I think this is after The Pianist. So he must have been like, well, what have I done?
Didn't he do that?
Just like me, he was
weird...
like, I've made a terrible mistake.
Didn't he do that weird Predator movie too?
Yeah.
He did a slew of these weird action films. Like, what are you doing, dude?
Rent's due.
I guess so.
Okay. So after he dies, Solo goes on a rampage, and he kills all of the Black Ops soldiers one by one in really stupid ways, until he gets to William Sadler, whom he defeats fairly easily in hand-to-hand combat, then raises him above his head and brings him down on his knee, breaking his back, but leaving him alive.
Oh.
Yeah. You might ask why? Well, I'll tell you. It's so the next part of the movie can happen, which is a special ops helicopter showing up that drops off a package in the form of a new improved version of Solo. But for some reason, it has William Sadler's face.
Oh.
And is armed with a big, huge Gatling gun on one arm instead of an arm.
Sure.
This is not at all confusing.
So it lands. It kills the real William Sadler immediately.
Sure.
I'm like, all right. He starts hunting down Solo. It's a really poor third act. It's very bad. I'll just say this. Solo is able to save all the villagers, and he beats the Mark II android. How, you might ask? By bluffing. I guarantee you saw this coming when you saw how heavy-handed the bluffing scene was earlier. And then the Mark II android is very surprised, and he's like, "You ceased to function." And Solo says, "No, I bluffed." And I was like, well, we just watched you bluff. I'm not sure you needed to say that you bluffed. We all figured out what you did.
You needed to reveal it to the other robot. It was very important.
Yes. So the temple that these two androids are fighting in collapses on them, and the military pulls out, knowing that both units are destroyed and unrecoverable. The final scene is one of the villager boys who's mourning for Solo. But then he hears Solo's weird laughter in the trees and realizes that Solo has survived.
As a bird.
You guys, there is like zero trivia for this. But I thought this was good. Okay. 2018 Solo, a Star Wars story, included that subtitle so as not to be confused with this film.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, there's no way you're going to confuse that with this film.
I think you're good.
Yeah.
Because I had no trivia. And I like to give something to the listeners.
Oh, shit.
I pulled up a couple of reviews I liked.
Oh, there you go.
Fun.
That's always good.
And they run the gamut. This one by Muhammad Rafiq. My kind of movie, seen it too, ice now. Mexican B+ movie, my ratings, 9 out of 10.
Is off of Amazon?
Yes. No, these are IMDb.
Oh,
Muhammad says, I remember as a kid wanting to see this, but never got around to it. Watching it now, it is not a bad movie. I felt the second half, especially the ending, was a lot more entertaining. William Sadler's performance and style are great. The action scenes are fun to watch. As a cyborg lover, I thought it was fun to watch as well. There is nothing better than watching some guy do gymnastics while something is blowing up in the background. Overall, a good action movie.
At least he had reasons backing up the opinion.
Well, but I would take the line, there is nothing better than watching some guy do gymnastics while something is blowing up in the background. And I would say, well, maybe I can think of.
You like what you like, I guess.
I mean, I was going to say that explains his review 100% to me. That's his style. He loves gymnastic explosion movies.
This reminds me, I didn't mention it, but there is a scene where Solo is backflipping for no reason while things are exploding.
Do you think Marvin Van Peebles just got real good?
Not Marvin, Mario. His son.
Mario Van Peebles.
Marvin Van Peebles was Melvin Van Peebles was probably like, what the fuck? I have made some shit movies, but boy.
And then his son brought up, check. Yeah. Never mind.
Okay, so that was one. This one is kind of a little more in the mid-range. Part Man, Part Machine, total ripoff.
Oh.
By Movie Addict 20163. He says there are good action stars and there are bad action stars. Arnold Schwarzenegger will always be the best action star in my book. That's not to say Van Peebles can't. Who am I kidding? This guy sucks. He's annoying, untalented, and his muscles are puny flabs of flesh molded sloppily and with gallons of steroids.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'd be more inclined to think his favorite guy has done a cycle or two of roids than I would that People's
It's
has.
like, well, okay, you're saying he has flabby skin, but that he's done roids? Like, that doesn't really add up to me.
They're molded sloppily.
They're sloppy. So you can only get sloppy muscles from roids. Got it.
Here was my favorite of the reviews, though. Please don't spend money on this rubbish by Bob the Moo. He says, I saw this free on TV and I still feel robbed. Mario Van Peebles takes on a role that suits him, one that requires him to be wooden and slow.
You're going to call yourself Moo. You
very British. That sounds like a British-ass review.
You know how I like to say I win? I didn't win this time, you guys. Okay. Somebody else is going to win this one.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Your impersonation of that alone has entertained me thoroughly for this entire hour. So
good. That makes me feel good. Thank you.
Yes. Wow. Okay. Well, unfortunately, mine's a lot more serious than yours. So I'm going to have to.
Don't worry. I'll lighten it back up.
Oh, good. Okay. As long as we've got that on the table. I went with a movie that I had only seen bits and pieces of, and I really wanted to watch the rest of it. And I was like, jungle? I think this one took place in a jungle, probably. And it did.
Now, is this in the tall grass again?
It's all green. Everything's green.
It's all green. No, it is Lost Soul, The Doomed Journey of Richard Stanley's Island of Dr. Moreau from 2014.
We just thought that Richard Stanley doing Island of Dr. Moreau was one of the most exciting projects we'd heard of in a while.
This is going to be a huge project, and this is going to propel Richard Stanley into the superstardom that he deserves as an auteur.
It was a script we were extremely confident in, that we thought would be some sort of milestone in the genre. New Line tried in different ways to contain the material.
I wasn't particularly enthusiastic about the project, frankly.
There was some lunatic movie that's known as one of the worst films ever made.
Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer were there to mess with the film as much as possible.
I've dealt with some very, very difficult actors in my life, but I have never, ever dealt with somebody like Marlon Brando.
He wanted an ice bucket on top of his head.
He'd covered himself in white paint.
I think that's how the whole mini-me thing developed, of Marlon adopting this little guy.
It doesn't matter who directs it. It's not about the vision. It's about the stars.
Did you hear about? Oh my God! The Richard Stanley climbed into a tree today. It wouldn't come down.
He was living and breathing Moreau, and then literally just have that murdered. I think he probably went a bit mad.
I think once that rumour started that Richard Stanley was in the background, that I think that just grew into Richard Stanley then wanting to sabotage the shoot.
As it went on, it descended into more and more kind of madness.
I knew that this was going to be totally insane and that we were going to be hugely lucky if we just finished a film with a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Knowing that the odds were stacked against me, I resorted to witchcraft.
I've often wondered what happened to Richard Stanley.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah. It's produced by Severin Films. So I don't know at what point it was done. I didn't have the actual thing. I was watching it on streaming.
It's been a few years. It's been quite a while.
Yeah, I don't think it was as nicely done as like their more recent stuff. Like the cover art alone looks very hokey, but that's okay. It has a 100% Rotten Tomato critic score. It's only by 8 people, but still, those 8 people really liked it. Audience has it at 87%, which is probably a little bit more realistic. The director and writer, David Gregory, and probably also producer, he has 229 directing credits.
Wow.
Yeah. It's because...
Is that the Severin guy?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's because he does all of those behind the scenes docs. So he does, like, for every film he does, he's got maybe 8 or 9 additional credits for it. So he did things for Dawn of the Dead, Fulci, did something on Punisher, Tenebrae, Night of the Living Dead, Evil Dead. He's just got a ton of these kinds of credits. He did also act as a producer on Color Out of Space. Not any other credits really than that, because this is a documentary.
Sure.
About Mr. Richard Stanley. So the story of why this is interesting is we have an eccentric British filmmaker in 1996 named Richard Stanley, who went out to make the film he had dreamed of making most of his life. As a child, he'd been obsessed with the story of Island of Dr. Moreau. He even read the first edition that his father had. He had made a couple of successful, really niche films, including Hardware and Dust Devil, which are both really, really interesting, fun science fiction, apocalypse style films. He started making calls and somehow managed to convince somebody to listen to him and his ideas about making this movie a reality. He had 12 images created to help pitch the story based off of the 12 Stations of the Cross. They're all very vivid, gruesome, extreme images of artistic interpretations of scenes he wanted to do for Island of Dr. Moreau. Like, really kind of cool. There's like one image of I don't know if it's the cheetah woman or it's half monster woman in stirrups giving birth. And it's just like viscera everywhere. And like, the Dr. Moreau like holding the baby up, and it's very gory and crazy. Really, really interesting. So he had finally gotten the interest of Hollywood, who were thinking, we could do this for like maybe 5 to 8 million. Could make this happen. Not, we'll kind of give him a little bit of a budget, but nothing crazy. From the start, there was a lot of pushback on his original idea. Shocking. They wanted to bring it down a few notches and, as he said, Americanize it. He just did not fit into this Hollywood scene at all. They flew him out. He showed up with a large hat. I mean, you guys have met him. So, he's got this kind of shtick of what he looks like and how he is. And he's just that guy that you don't want to get stuck talking to about Magic the Gathering for too long, because he knows like all the cards and like who drew them and like what they mean and what the perfect, anyway, he's that kind of guy. So as soon as he got to LA, he started getting really paranoid about the production and being terrified that they're going to take it away from him, to the point where he just started missing meetings and just not being very present for a lot of the pre-pro. New Line was behind the making of this. I don't know, the green lighting of it. And they thought maybe for a lead, they could get Marlon Brando, which was not part of Richard Stanley's vision, but he was like, yeah, let's do it. But he was also terrified that they were going to give the film over to maybe David Fincher or Paul Thomas Anderson to direct it, because they sure were trying to. So Stanley went ahead and met up with Brando on his own, had a one-to-one, and got Brando to basically agree not to do the film unless he was the director. So ball was back in his court. They also had lined up Bruce Willis and James Woods to come on board. But unfortunately, Bruce Willis got a divorce and couldn't leave the country to film, as it was going to be set in the jungles of Australia, as he was in negotiations over custody of his kids and therefore could not leave the country. Val Kilmer agreed to step in and come on board, but he wanted a different role, which meant that James Woods lost his part, and Rob Morrow of Northern Exposure fame came on as essentially the lead. They headed out to the jungles of Australia and the literal wettest part of the whole country, which was probably not a smart plan, but they were like, there's a mountain. That looks cool. We want to film it. Immediately, things started going wrong. First of all, Brando's daughter killed herself, and it was unclear if he would actually bother to come and do the picture at all, since he had abandoned another film, which went completely under during that time. They started shooting everything they could without him, starting off with some boat scenes. But like I said, wettest place in Australia, big hurricane came, took away the set. So they had nothing basically that they could film without Brando being there to do his parts. On top of it, everything was just really laborious. For example, all the extras were putting on this heavy animal makeup creature costumes that were taking hours and hours and hours to do. And then they would sit around having nothing to do all day because all the scenes were just being chucked and rearranged. Val Kilmer was making everything much worse. He was constantly pushing on Stanley and doing a lot of power moves. He was at the height of his fame, having just come off of Batman Forever, and basically a total asshole to everyone. He would second guess and push back on every piece of direction, saying, oh, you want to put the camera over there? Well, it's not going to cut together, is it? And just really, really needling at him. Rob Morrow sensed that this was not going well and begged to be pulled off of the project. I wasn't totally clear from the documentary, but I think he did manage to go ahead and get out of there. Fairuza Balk of The Craft and Dorothy in Return of Oz fame was also starring in this. And she really believed in the project, so much so that when New Line started to feel like maybe Stanley should be taken off, she was like, well, I'm going to walk. And they were like, well, you'll get sued and never work again. And she said, I guess I won't walk. So Stanley's worst fears started to become true. He basically started hiding in his rented home in the jungle and refused to come out for any kind of production meetings. He wouldn't show up on set unless he absolutely had to. And shockingly, they tried to put him on a plane and sent him away. They were like, you know what? You can't do it. And Val Kilmer also was like, could you please, for the love of God, take him away? So this is the end of Richard Stanley's part of directing this movie. Now, of course, like I said, they thought they put him on a plane, but apparently he never arrived. So he just kind of disappeared into the woods somewhere. Moving on. At that point, the new director, John Frankenheimer, arrived to take over. He basically was hired because he was known to be able to work with incredibly difficult actors. And with the arrival of Brando finally showing up and him and Kilmer hating each other, he was probably the right fit, except for he was a total shit to everyone around him. He was quote unquote an old school director, which apparently meant he just yelled at everyone, including at the crew, telling them that Australian crews were shit and that he wanted his American crew constantly to their faces. So, off in the middle of the jungle, that's a really good plan. Brando arrived on day 1 with his face painted white and wearing a bunch of cheesecloth. He started basically rewriting things all over the place and saying, what if we did it like this and like that? He had to have an earpiece put into his ear so that his assistant read the lines to him. He claims he never once read the script. Val and Brando fought constantly to the point of not getting out of their trailers. Again, the extras were stuck sitting around doing nothing for months, to the point where they basically just used their per diem to buy a lot of drugs and alcohol and toys and just hung out and partied. Which only got worse when a bunch of hippies from the woods were incorporated into the film because Frankenheimer was like, yo, we need more extras. We don't have enough. Let's get some people. And it was like, we're out in Australia in the wettest part of the country in the middle of nowhere. All we have are hippies who've like gone off the beaten path and hidden themselves away out here. So he was like, yeah, bring them on board. So, but however, one of the hippies noted that he had heard of some strange guy talking about how Val Kilmer had ruined his life off in one of the hippie camps. The crew got curious, drove down, found, of course, Richard Stanley. Stanley wanted to know how it was going, and they were like, very bad. Very, very bad. Basically, everything's being rewritten on the day. At some points, Brando, of course, was like, you know what? I want this tiny little man that we have here, the world's smallest man. I want him to hang out with me all the time for no reason. And Frankenheimer was like, I don't care what happens in this movie. I just want it to be done and leave. So pretty much anything he asked for was happening. The movie was becoming absolutely insane between Val Kilmer and Marlon Brando, basically trolling the entire process. So Stanley was like, you know what? Why don't you just put me in some big costume, because everyone's wearing monster makeup anyway, and I'll just come and hang out on set. And he did, and he's in the movie. So the film, of course, they finished wrapping it up. The film bombed, kind of. It cost $40 million to make, and it's made 49.6. So it actually got a little of its money back. The head of New Line essentially said it was better to have finished it than to abandon it. But it was definitely seen as one of the worst films of all time. Richard Stanley's career was killed immediately. His agent ghosted him. No one in Hollywood wanted to have anything to do with him. So he basically went off to live in the French Pyrenees at Mount Segal, which is where they found him to do this movie. He is an extremely eccentric and strange dude. However, the good thing was he got a 3-picture deal, as you both know, with Elijah Wood's film company, Spectre Vision, starting with Color Out of Space. The bad news is it came out that he beat his ex-girlfriend, and that was the end of that. Anyway, the positives of this film. Interesting story. It's really interesting to see people who basically go insane in the jungle, who have no way of escape and just are stuck in the worst set of circumstances. They got some pretty cool people to talk about it. They got Robert Shea, the president of New Line at the time, to discuss it. Fruza Balk was on there. Rob Morrow was on there. They got a lot of really cool people from the crew who were very honest about the process to chat. The negatives, they never actually talked to Ron Perlman, who is apparently in this movie, nor David Thewlis about it. This is because Ron Perlman said on a podcast he had declined being part of the documentary because he didn't want to say anything negative when he didn't know everything that happened between the fallout of Richard Stanley and New Line. He said that for a short amount of time that they had, he loved working with Stanley and wished that he could have stayed on the project. The other kind of bad thing about this movie is it ends really abruptly. It feels like there should be some other, I don't know, maybe discussion of what happened to everybody else, or I don't know. It just feels like Stanley disappears for most of it and then is there at the end. And then it's like, yeah, my life is shit now. Bye at the end. It was kind of an odd note to end on. Not much trivia. It premiered at London's Fright Fest Film Fest in 2014. There is a director's cut of this movie, a Frankenheimer's director's cut, and it went from 96 minutes to 100. So 4 additional minutes of great content, I'm sure. It received 5 nominations at the Razzies, including Worst Pick, Worst Director, and 1 for the Worst Supporting Actor, with Marlon Brando getting it. However, Val Kilmer was also a nominee. So
I don't know if I've seen the documentary, but I don't know if I've ever actually watched the movie.
I rented the movie when it came out. It's not very good.
Yeah.
And Brando is so weird.
Yeah.
That you're just like, eh.
I mean, it makes sense, like how he just was like, what if my character does this thing? And they just let him. And that's probably why this film is so fucking bizarre.
And Val Kilmer was a royal dick for several years around that time.
Yeah,
Reason he
still
stopped getting hired for anything.
Yeah, I'd still really like to see that documentary, Val, but I have not yet made it to it. No Jungle, so did not watch it yet.
That might have been a scene from this movie.
You know what? You're right. There could have been. I take that back. I missed opportunity.
I went with 1988's Robo War.
Here we have Corporal Neil Corey, top marksman rating. Private Larry Garino, Alfred Bray, dubbed Papa Doc. Sonny Peel, martial arts expert. His friends call him Blood. Quang, forward scout and point taker. And this is our coordinator, Major Murphy Black.
Enemy sighted, moving target, receive. On target, on target, on target.
Let's get ready for a clean kill. We're gonna start settling some accounts here. Major, this belonged to Lieutenant Woodring. Remember him? Keep still.
Rotten Tomatoes, no critics reviews, a 40 from the audience.
Oh, those losers.
No surprise. This is the return of Bruno Mattei to our podcast.
Oh my
He's
gosh.
been featured several times.
Yeah, he really has.
He is best known for Shocking Dark, Terminator 2, Jaws 5, Zombie 3, and 55 more directorial films.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, Severin got in trouble for the release of the Jaws 5.
Oh, did they?
Oh no.
Yeah, was it Universal or Paramount that's got Jaws?
Universal.
Universal, yeah. I went in. So they had to get rid of they did a slip cover that was Jaws 5. Well, the movie was, the original title, Cruel Jaws. But yeah, they got in trouble for that, apparently. Writer, Rosella Drudy, did the screenplay. She also wrote Troll 2.
Oh, boy.
Karate Man 2022.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds awesome. And lots of Bruno's films. She worked with him a lot. And Claudio Vergassi also wrote the story, the general story. Just a bit hard.
Well, you mean ripped off the general story?
Borrowed liberally.
Isn't this like Predator meets RoboCop or something, if I remember?
Predator, RoboCop. Yeah. Many things.
Man, I love this movie.
I'll dive into it deeper as we go. Stars Reb Brown, who played in Hunter from the Future. YOR. Sword and Sorcerer, and several Bruno films, and also was in the movie.
Yeah. Benedict. What's his name? Starbuck.
Yes. God,
turns into a giant snake.
Oh my God.
Yes. Oh God.
It's an impressive film. It's a film.
Woof. Okay.
And Catherine Hickland, who is in 144 episodes of One Life to Live, 139 episodes of Loving, and 124 episodes of Texas. So you can guess how she looks.
She knows how to memorize some lines.
Massimo Vanni, who's got 106 credits, almost all Italian films, many Bruno films, and 1990, The Bronx Warrior. So this is movie opens with what I would call a really bad version of the Predator look. When the Predator would look out at feature, you see like the colors and the forms of people. This looks like a 8-bit video game, gold colored. It's very hard to see what he's looking at. You can sort of see images moving. It's like, I think that's people. And the voice from this creature is not good. He's so hard to understand at times. But he does manage with one weapon to destroy an entire military base. This does the nice introduction of showing you all the characters in the movie by presenting a slideshow. One military guy to another military guy. Here's the men of the crew.
That's right.
Really, this combat team? Yes, this is the combat team. Bam. Badass motherfuckers. So my immediate thought is, God, shouldn't that be BAMF? Because, you motherfucker, one word or two words. It can be both. But no, it's BAM. Yeah. Well, I'm in the middle of reading the X-Men, so you know.
Sure.
They are not the Dirty Dozen by any means, but they do smoke pot on the boat, which apparently was real.
Nice.
It's a Bruno Mattei film. Yes, you're high, you're still fine. As everyone points out in the reviews for this film, it borrows heavily from Predator, RoboCop, and Rambo. Many of them too fail to mention that there is a Chuck Norris missing in action guy too.
Oh.
And he kind of looks like Chuck, and he's got the bullets across the chest, the same kind of. Chuck Norris is in this movie. Man, these guys do their military stuff. You could tell they work well together because they do stupid hand gestures, and for some reason, the other people know what they mean. They're great because it's like all the guys standing in this group right next to each other, and the one guy goes, does these with hand gestures, and they all do something. It's like, well, you could just talk to them. There's nobody
right
around.
there.
They see a sniper at one point and decide they're going to take the sniper out by using probably what has to be half of their ammo to shoot this guy out of the tree, who falls down and find out he's already dead.
Oh.
He's been killed by whatever it is they're hunting. So he's all burnt up and kind of gross looking. And for some reason, his gun is burnt, but it looks like it was tied with a bunch of gaffer's tape, and then the gaffer's tape was lit on fire or something. The amazing 1988 pounding soundtrack helps not take this movie seriously in any way, and it's awesome. There are several times in the movie where there's probably a good solid 2 or 3 minutes of them just walking through the jungle with this kind of music playing in the background, and not remotely suspenseful, which I think it's supposed to be, but fun to watch, I got to tell you. This powerful group of warriors that come together to hate each other quite a bit. I was like, wow, you guys are a group of teams that save each other's lives. And it's not like they argue when everything's fine. They argue in the middle of battles. They argue no matter what's going on. It's like, you're exactly a great team there.
It's drama, Eric. That's how you write drama.
There you go. It's the reveal of the Robo Dude is oddly handled, because you see him sort of look out behind a tree, and he's really silver looking. And then a little while later, the next shot of him, he looks like he's in full black armor. So I'm like, is there 2 of them? Like, no, there's just the one.
Huh.
They do apparently, wandering through this deep, dark jungle where this guy is hidden, wander around across a 2-lane hardtop, blacktop road where a bunch of, I'm assuming, bad rebel guys are chasing a bunch of people running down the road going, ah! And of course, who's the one person they don't kill? The pretty little blonde, who is the lady I mentioned earlier, has been in 300 some odd soap operas. Banff decides they need to take these guys out in the Jeeps because it's time to start settling some accounts. Like, what?
What accounts exactly?
So of course they shoot the shit out of those guys, and they all die except for the one guy who grabs the blonde and puts a gun to her head. They have to deal with that. It's all great. And she joins in, and to the credit of Bruno Mattei, she carries a weapon almost the entire time.
There you go.
And one of the 3 or 4 who keeps her finger off the trigger the whole time.
Oh.
Several of
training.
them. Several of them don't. The guy saying the robot voice is hard enough to understand that he was watching the True walk by in his little 8-bit gold thing saying, I think things about the being, and always ending with the line that sounded like greasy. He's not saying greasy. There's no way he's saying, so I rewound, turned on the subtitles, and came back as he was saying receive.
Oh.
As in receive the information.
Right.
And he says that through the whole movie, man. Almost every time the robot says anything, it ends with that received. Another thing that is fairly surprisingly common in most Mattei movies of this quality is that there's tons of violence and killing and explosions, very little blood. He just doesn't use a lot of squibs, anything like that. There's tons of great bad catchphrases. I mean, it's 1988 action movie.
Mm-hmm.
But until the robot shows up, this team is very good, apparently. They kill like everybody they run into. Then the robot shows up and he just starts killing all of them with no problem.
Are they sent to find the robot? Is that what's going on?
I believe so.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of vague. Although there's a wonderful series of shots throughout the movie that just cracked me up about the third time it happened, where you get this high, wide shot, and then all the guys come together and stand there and talk, posing for a little while, saying tough guy things. And then as it goes along, as they start dying, he keeps doing it, but then there's less and less of them. It's like, that's an interesting effect. I like that. Because they do a lot of that, looking cool, trying to figure out what to do. And they get another nice musical interlude where they wander around for a while. It's not the best disciplined team. The guys just always kind of wander off on their own at various times with no reason. Most of the rest of the movie is them doing exactly that. Just wandering off, getting picked off, and not really figuring anything out. And one of the reveals in the movie nicely adds aliens into the movie ripoffs, borrowed from. My final line on the movie of their final battles as they try to bring the robot, man, these people are truly inept. Like, we're going to shoot at the guy. It's not working. Shoot again. This was also known as Robo Man. Movie credits roll with Vincent Dawn as the director. not Bruno Mattei,
Interesting.
which is, near as I can tell, a made up name.
How many credits does Vincent Dunn have?
Oh, I should have looked that up. The actor playing the cyborg fainted twice during shooting of the film because it was so hot.
Ooh.
Which, is amazing because I'm sure they built that thing with that air cooling stuff in the middle and everything, right? It's not just a bunch of slapped together cardboard with duct tape.
Out in the heat. Go stand over there.
He's right. They shipped in an Italian chef to make meals in the Philippines so the cast and crew didn't get too upset at what they had to eat. There was a romantic subplot put in there that I immediately said, oh, the lead guy and the blonde, but no, it was takeoff of the Native American guy from Predator. That character in this was supposed to have like a relationship with one of the people that lived in the village nearby, which I guess was shot but completely cut out. And on Severn's release, they didn't have it, so I guess it's like lost footage. And but they decided to remove that and just keep the action going. What's the most fun about some of these movies is you go in and you read some of the reviews, and most everybody in the review writes like they're the first person to realize this movie's a ripoff of a bunch of movies. I also love the reviews of movies like this, which have no budget, have no nothing, but they're reviewing like they expect this is a Paramount production that should have been seen at an AMC theater.
Oh, man.
Yeah, clone mix of Predator, Rambo, and RoboCop, pretty much. Predator being the main one. There's a great making of interviews with Rosala, the writer. They knew exactly what they were doing. This was not... we saw the movie and happened to write something 3 months later that's just like it. They say, those are really good movies. Let's go watch those movies and write this script. And which she had no problem with. She didn't come across as being, it was a little shady. She's like, what? That's just what we did. Interesting interview with her because they never did anything with it, which is a little disappointing, but she's sitting behind this full drum set. And all the drums are like clear plastic. So it's kind of an interesting looking drum set. She just sits behind it the whole time. It's like ask her about the drum set at some point. She hadn't seen the movie until recently and watched it in the last few years. Really hated the Robo's voice there like I did. It's like, that doesn't work at all. I think the movie is a lot of fun, made her laugh, and was really surprised to go online and find out what a gigantic cult following this movie has.
Sure.
I was like, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
The lead actress who did all the soap operas is now a stage hypnosis performer in Las Vegas and has never watched the movie.
Wow.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, she was a neat interview too. She was talking about how, I love interviews with actors like that. It's like, well, yeah, you know what? We had a lot of fun making this movie. I don't care what the end product is. Like I said, she's never watched it, but my memory of this film is a lot of fun. Bruno is great to work with. The location was hot and miserable, but the people I'm working with were all great. Very few of them spoke English, so the communication was weird. So it was very strange, but still loved it. So yeah, Bruno Mattei returns triumphantly to the podcast with another fantastic schlock.
I love it. Yeah, I do like this movie quite a bit. Okay, Eric, that means you've got the next choice for the subject.
I do. We've been going wide for a little while. So we're going to go back the pizza way and see if we can find something really weird. A movie featuring, it doesn't have to be a musical. The whole movie doesn't have to do it. But a movie featuring some kind of I'm leaning towards disco style music.
Oh my God.
A scene. It can be, something as simple as a high school reunion that is a 70s theme or the movie was shot in the 70s, so it's got disco.
Okay.
But something disco-y. Bring the fun, bring the funk.
Genre and disco.
Mm-hmm.
I like it. Jungle Boogie. Jungle Boogie.
Kind of a follow-up.
Right.
Really responsible for that with your catchy tune there, Kelly.
That is true.
Okay, this is the part where we thank everybody for participating in the Value for Value model.
I think we have a very special person to thank for this one.
It's true.
Huh?
Thanks, Mom.
Oh, what? I didn't hear.
We got a buy me a pizza from Linda.
Yep. Yep.
That's
She
his mother.
sent us a tiny little,
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, she's been asking to donate for the last over a year and going, I don't know how to do the coffee. I want to give the coffee. And I finally was like, okay, let's just sit down and do this.
Oh.
So, yeah. So thank you, Mom, for supporting us.
That's really nice. You should be more like Vanessa's mom.
I don't know who you're. Are you looking at both of us?
No, I'm looking at the listeners.
Okay. I was like, I mean, I've got her genetics. I don't know what else you want from me.
You could be any more like your mom. I'm saying, hey, if you like the show and you get some value out of it, turn that value into a number and send it our way.
There you go.
Or any of the other awesome things you can do.
Etsy page. We do have our Etsy page and
Etsy page.
the link to it, because it can be kind of weird to find if you just go to Etsy, is on our website, strangeeonsradio.com.
Yeah, and I got a very mysterious message while we were recording this from one Danny Williford, who said, try to dress up when you check the mail this week.
What does that mean?
Well, I'll let you know when I know.
Oh my God.
Mystery camera.
Yeah,
Open
he's
the
just
mailbox.
sitting there waiting for you to come out in his car, ready to take a photo.
You know what? I would love that. I'd be like, get in here, you. And I'd give him a big, huge man hug, and then we'd start drinking.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Okay, so that's it for the show. We're coming back in 1 week. We're talking genre, disco genre. Can't be disco genre. It's got to be genre disco.
Yeah. Well, disco genre. So, Staying Alive or Saturday Night Fever.
Look, I love all those movies. I don't feel like I can, in good faith, make Vanessa watch one of those movies.
I know it'll be really hard if I have to.
Oh, man, I could do the Village People movie.
Oh, and I do. Thank God it's Friday.
There you go.
All right, never mind. I'm changing my mind.
Yeah,
all disco, all the time.
The only one I would
do that.
The only one I would be able to do is Saturday Night Fever because I don't know anything about disco movies.
Perfect.
That's why the Google is out there.
Yeah. I know. I don't like where this is going.
All right, guys. Get out of my house. I love you both, and I don't want to see you anymore.
Okay.
Fair.
Yeah.
Bye.
Strange Eons Radio is artisanal quality podcasting, handcrafted with all natural ingredients, and edited to perfection by Eric Margaret. Our blistering theme song is Strange Eons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider dropping a positive review on Apple Podcasts. Now, is this in the tall grass again?